Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on the future of AI here at Databricks, Agentbricks, as I'm sure everyone here saw at the keynote today. And this session in particular is going to focus on how you can scale domain-specialized agents at high production volume. So the forward-looking statement, make sure that you complete your surveys after every single session. And with that, we'll start off with some quick introductions. My name's Archika. I'm a product manager here at Databricks on the AI platform team, working on part of our Agentbricks solution.
Hello, I'm June. I'm the tech lead for the AI Builder product group.
Awesome. So the quick agenda of what we're going to go through this session on is we're going to start off with the production problem that we're seeing a lot of our customers face as they're trying to productionize high volume use cases at scale. We'll talk about how Agentbricks solves this problem for them. We'll give you a quick demo live of building an agent brick. We'll talk about the research and engineering sauce that's kind of powering why you should build your next use case on an agent brick. And then we'll end it with key takeaways to walk away from today's session. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Raise your hand if your goal here, maybe it's at this conference, it's in your job in general, is to take AI to production. That is pretty much everyone, I would hope. But the main elephant in the room today is that what we see is 90% of Gen AI projects never go into production. So what happens is that someone comes up with a great idea. We can augment some sort of insight in a way using an LLM or an agent. They run a POC on it for a few months, and then that POC dies, and that project never actually sees the light of day. Well, the key question behind this is why. And since everyone here raised their hand saying that they want to take Gen AI to production, I would actually love to learn from you guys, why did your last failed POC not make it to production? There's two questions we have here. Raise your hand if it was because you weren't able to be confident enough in the quality of your solution. It was hard to evaluate, the quality wasn't good enough, etc. Okay. A few hands here and there, makes sense. Raise your hand if the ROI simply did not make sense. For example, it was just too expensive in production. Cool. So what we're seeing is that these two issues are resonating with some people have the same both problems, and some people have one or the other problem of quality and then cost. So let's distill this into a real-world example. Meet Sally. Sally is a senior data scientist at Databricks, which is one of the biggest telecom companies in the world. Sally ran some numbers, and she found some pretty alarming numbers from the past year. Customer churn has increased by 7%, and from the customers that currently exist as Databricks customers, they're not actually upgrading their plan. So the market share that they already have is kind of staying stagnant, and they're losing customers while they're at it. Well, the key question behind this is also why? And the answer to this is in a lot of different places, but one hunch that Sally has is that it's sitting behind a lot of unstructured data, namely the customer service calls that are coming in on the order of millions of calls per week that Databricks is getting that basically capture the customer dissatisfaction, asks, and issues that their Databricks users are facing every single day. However, there's 100 million calls of these transcripts, and this is buried deeply under a vast amount of unstructured data. So it's really hard for Sally to go in and automatically make sense of this. But Sally needs to know why, because she can't go to her leadership team and be like, hey, we're not doing very well, and then they're going to be obviously ask, well, what's wrong? And she's not going to have the full story there. So she definitely needs to answer this question to understand what's going wrong over at Databricks. So what she eventually needs to do is turn this mountain of customer call transcripts into aggregated insights solving the why question. And Sally's heard about this thing called, LLMs and agents, and she heard that they do a pretty good job of reasoning on top of unstructured data and maybe extracting these nuanced insights from that data. So where does she begin? First, she needs to choose the right toolkit. She has a bunch of different providers, open source, proprietary, different models. She's kind of like, okay, which LLM is actually gonna do best for my task? She's not super sure, but she kind of just chooses one that seems good enough. Maybe it's like a leading OpenAI model or something, and moves forward with it. But this off-the-shelf model isn't necessarily gonna understand Sally's domain. So she needs to teach it her enterprise data and her domain guidelines that she cares about and different things that the LLM needs to learn to infer over time. The problem with this is that the best bet that she has today is prompt engineering. And she keeps adding rules and context and more things to that prompt till she gets to a prompt for her LLM that's thousands of tokens long. And she can't even tell when adding something regresses one output but fixes another output. It's a super manual process and very brittle for her. And that gets to the third problem, which is evaluating quality. Now that she's kind of chosen the right toolkit, kind of thinks that she's taught it her domain, what is she gonna do? A lot of customers that we talk to honestly solely rely on manual evaluation. So Sally starts with that, but then she's like, okay, maybe I should go to the customer service team and ask them, do you think this is doing this adequately or not? Is my LLM and prompt doing the right thing? Please let me know. They let her know, and their answer is no. So she needs to go back and teach the domain again from these ad hoc insights she got from her subject matter experts. Okay, let's say she's climbed the third hill now. Now she needs to productionize at scale. But the problem is, Sally wasn't really thinking about this. She chose the best LLM, which is great. But now that she's thinking about actually running this on hundreds of millions of customer call transcripts, her manager is like, wait, this is way too expensive in production. This is gonna cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. We can't give this a green light. So now Sally is back to square one, and she has become the 90% of POCs that failed to make it to production. Or one could say, the elephant in the room is very much still in the room. What exactly did Sally struggle with here? First, she had too many knobs. Which model should she choose? Which techniques should she choose? Prompt optimization, does she even know how to fine-tune if she needs to fine-tune? There's a lot of open questions there. Then evaluation was really difficult for her. She was going off of vibe checks, and she had to map SME feedback back to actually optimizing her system. And lastly, cost versus quality was a trade-off that she had to make, and she didn't even realize she had to make it until it was way too late, blocking her from actually going to production on high volumes of data. Sally is not alone. We've been talking to customers over the past few months, and the unstructured data goldmine is incredibly elusive. We have customers sitting on hundreds of millions of patient notes, getting thousands of customer reviews a day, or they're lost in hundreds of thousands of contracts from just this year alone, and they're trying to make sense of this data using generative AI, but are really struggling to do this effectively. That's why we built Databricks, which is getting you production AI agents optimized on your data and your domain. All you have to do is specify your problem, give us your enterprise data and your guidelines. We'll generate custom evaluations to help you benchmark how well your system is doing and productionize with confidence. And lastly, we'll make sure that you're never blocked from going to production because you no longer have to think about a quality versus cost trade-off. How do we do this? We'll dive deeper into this later on in the session, but the high level is that we're gonna be choosing the best models and techniques for your task, agnostic to the provider, et cetera. We just wanna choose what works best for you. When it comes to evaluating, we're gonna auto-generate custom benchmarks and evals for you to get a good sense of how your agent is doing. And lastly, we'll optimize to get you lower cost without sacrificing the quality that you could get on a much bigger model or agent. So there's two different paths of use cases for Databricks. And what you saw in the keynote today was the high quality agents that can reason across data, models, and tools, like the multi-agent orchestrator or the knowledge assistant. For this session, we're gonna focus on specialized cost-optimized agents at scale across two main business use cases. First one is information extraction. A lot of customers are trying to turn unstructured data into structured insights via summarization, classification, or extraction. And then the second one is custom LLM, where you can basically specialize an LLM endpoint to your domain-specific guidelines on your enterprise data for whatever task that looks like. So here are some use cases for both Databricks. For information extraction, this can look like summarizing and extracting key terms from long contracts, and then classifying customer reviews by product and sentiment. And then for custom LLM, you can tailor a chat model to adhere to your enterprise policies at all times, and or use it for content generation or translation tasks that adhere to your custom guidelines. Okay, so now let's help Sally. She needs to go to production. What we're gonna help her do is specialize our agent brick endpoint to her domain. Then we're gonna help her productionize by taking away the quality versus cost problem that she faces today. And lastly, we'll get her to the finish line and actually help her deliver real insights to her leadership. Okay, let us switch over to a quick demo on how we're going to be doing this. Can everyone see my workspace? Okay, perfect. So I'm kind of starting off in the Databricks workspace. Hopefully this is a very familiar page for everyone here. And where I'm gonna go is the new Beta Agents tab in the left side nav bar. So I'm gonna click on Agents, and if I zoom out, I can see that I have these 4 use cases that are basically available to me today. And the one that I care most about right now is information extraction, because I wanna take information from these call transcripts and extract nuanced insights from them. So I'm gonna click on information extraction, and I'm gonna basically point my information extraction to the data that I want it to process and learn from. So it's gonna be called call transcripts 100 in Unity Catalog in the Delta table. And then I'm gonna select the column containing my text data, which is this transcript column. So what's happening right now and what's loading is we actually will auto-generate a schema for you based off of what we infer is in your unstructured data, because we have a lot of customers dealing with long contracts, et cetera, and they're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to extract from here. But thankfully, I kind of know what I want, if I can get to it here. I have a schema in mind, and I am going to basically ask for the customer sentiment from the call. I'll give a few issue categories that I want to be pulled out from the call. So like, what is the issue that the customer is worried about? And then again, what I care about is upsell opportunities and churn risk. So I'm going to see, okay, was an upsell opportunity present on this call? If so, did the agent attempt to like upsell the product? Was churn at high risk on this call? If so, was this effectively like attempted to be prevented by the customer service agent? Whether the issue was resolved, and then the call date, and a quick summary of what actually happened in the call. So let me now, I'll just call this test, call transcripts, create my information extraction agent, and if I zoom out here, I can create the agent. And so as this is loading, we're basically getting a good understanding of what does your data look like. What does the sample output actually map to? Like, what are the guidelines or the outcomes that you actually care about? And we're gonna help you auto-generate that straight off out of the gates so that you don't have to go from 0 to 1 yourself. So this is gonna take a little bit of time, but as we wait, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes to get you this iterative quality experience. Awesome, so it's gonna be updating here. And you can already tell on the sidebar that we're already starting to populate some auto-generated descriptions of your schema and what you need to be extracted from that schema. So we have customer sentiment, the issue categories, upsell opportunity, et cetera, with the default instructions that we infer from your task and your data of what you're trying to look to do. So that's the first component, the auto-generation of these schema descriptions. The second component are recommendations. So for example, what we detected was that issue categories is actually pretty open-ended. Your enterprise probably maps different issues to different categories in your own domain or in your own way. And so maybe you should specify if they're possible categories or if they're open-ended. Okay, let me also look at the review results and see if this is coming up in the sample outputs that we generate for you out of the box to actually validate how well your agent is doing. If I review these results, I can kind of see, okay, yeah, this is saying billing error. The actual name of my category should be billing. This is also billing error. Payment method is not really a category, issue category that we track at Databricks, et cetera, et cetera. So I am gonna fix this by iterating on my description. If I go back to issues category, and I already kind of have one, I'm gonna basically say that I want a standardized array of issue categories that are network connectivity, account management, product inquiry, billing, cancellation request, plan upgrade, or service outage. So I make sure that this agent understands my domain and what I'm actually looking for, and I can update the agent to see if it improves. So let me update this agent and see, will it do a better job of understanding my issue categories and adhering to the list that I gave it? And another reason why this takes a little bit of time is that we actually are like deploying this as an endpoint for you out of the box. So every time you update the agent, you can take the endpoint that you have today and basically run with it. Oh, awesome. So this finished, and if I go back and look at my issue categories, I now see that it adheres to my guidelines. So for example, billing is in an accurate category. Cancellation request is an accurate category. I'm no longer seeing like payment method or things that I'm like not really able to detect. Perfect. This is how we use this interface to help you basically input and inject your domain-specific knowledge into the guidelines so we better understand what success looks like, and then we help you validate that success is there by giving you these 5 examples that you have to ensure that your iterative process is actually yielding into the outcomes that you're looking to see. Once you're satisfied with this, you can then optimize to get an even cheaper agent. So now that we deeply understand your data, your guidelines, and the task that you're trying to do, we can sweep a variety of research techniques on the back end to basically distill these insights into a much smaller, faster, and cheaper agent endpoint. So I'm gonna click optimize, but optimize takes a little bit because we're trying a lot of different things, as you can see. And so I already optimized an endpoint with this exact same use case. And if I scroll up, you see kind of 2 high-level graphs comparing my optimized endpoint, which is much cheaper, to my active model endpoint, which was the original thing that we were teaching in the configure page. So if I look at the overall score, I can already see that relatively my optimized endpoint is much cheaper, but the quality is actually the same as the more expensive endpoint. And because it's a smaller model, the optimized endpoint throughput is much better, making it a lot more effective at processing high volumes of data, even though the quality is retained to be the same as the other endpoint. But you kind of have to like see it to believe it. Like I'm just kind of giving you a graph with 2 points. You might be like, wait, you could totally just be pulling a fast one over me. So we'll actually validate this with our auto evaluations that we generate through Databricks. So as you can see here, I'm comparing my optimized model to my active model. So this is the smaller, cheaper one. This is the bigger one that I initially used to train or prompt engineer my model. And so what we see here is actually the quality is matching, if not improving in some categories, with the optimized model. So issue resolved, for example, we do 7% better on the optimized model versus the base model, basically, or base agent. And then if we look at other things, like maybe where quality regressed a little bit, this is pretty negligible. Like -4% on a customer summary, I'm totally fine with that. What I really care about is like the customer sentiment, whether the churn prevention was accurate, et cetera. And I'm seeing that it's matching the quality of this bigger endpoint at a much, much cheaper cost. So I think I'm ready to deploy this, given that I'm pretty confident in this 90% plus accuracy that I'm getting across the board. And if you're also like, okay, how do I know that these auto evaluations are actually doing the right thing? We give you full observability into the reasoning for them. So here we'll kind of see like, okay, the reason why it passed the call summary was because it inquired about, it captured the key points, like the inquiry, what the agent did, and what the next step was. So I get a really deep understanding of like how these auto evaluations are actually happening, and then it guides me to basically understanding where the agent's doing well versus poorly. But in this case, I'm pretty satisfied. So I can go ahead and deploy my new optimized endpoint, but I also want to see, at the end of the day, how can I use this agent in production? And the great thing about Databricks is that everything is always integrated very end-to-end. We're a platform that does a lot of different things. So if I click on Start Extraction, we actually have a SQL function called AI Query. I have to zoom out here. I don't know why I'm so zoomed in. But basically, one sec. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. What you can see here is that we're calling our information extraction endpoint in AI Query. And AI Query is basically our way of doing optimized batch processing. So it's a SQL function that's able to handle very, very high volumes of data super effectively because we do auto scaling for you, we parallelize the tasks, etc., so that you can get this job done in a time-effective manner. So the fact that you can call your endpoint from AI query basically integrates really well into pointing this to a Delta table, running it through AI query, and getting the results out of it, as we can see here. I tried it on a few rows, and I'm getting pretty good results from the key fields that I'm trying to basically understand. Okay, customer sentiment was negative, it's because of billing, the issue wasn't resolved, their churn risk is really high, and the churn ultimately was not prevented actively during the call. Okay, so these insights are great on like a one-off level, but what Sally really needs to do is she needs to tell a story to her leadership. She needs to use these nuanced insights that she's extracted and taught our agent to understand and produce, and turn that into business insights to improve the churn and the upsell rates of her organization. So another great thing about Databricks is we've got a way for you to visualize those insights for your leadership team. So Sally's created this dashboard, which I'm going to zoom in back a little bit more, which is basically the customer call insights she's gathered in aggregate from her extracted fields and classifications. So she took a look at all the calls that were high churn risk, and she basically was trying to figure out what was the issue on the call. Over here, it's pretty obvious that network connectivity is the main reason why customers are coming to Databricks, knocking on the door and saying, I don't want to use this product anymore, my network connectivity sucks. Which is something that for some reason they didn't know before this, but as you can tell, this is a pretty big issue that was uncovered from all of this unstructured data that Sally processed. If she wants to go even deeper into this, she can understand over time, when did network connectivity issues really surge / go down, and like what is the overall trend of them appearing in these calls as a key issue over the past year. And what she can also gather from this insight is, hey, something happened in February where people were having a lot of network connectivity issues. It went down, but still there's a bigger product problem at our organization that we need to address. And she can take this insight, package it, and give it to her leadership so that they can go off and fix what they need to. But product issues are one thing. Customer service issues are also another thing. When customers come complaining or asking for help, are agents actually delivering the right experience to those customers? So one thing was that there's not a lot of upselling happening that she's seeing when there's an opportunity to give a plan upgrade, et cetera, that the agents are trying to push for. And what she validates with this data is, okay, upsell is like pretty low, only 40% of agents are actually upselling when they have the opportunity to do so. It hasn't really gone up or down, but maybe this is something that we need to add to our customer service training, for example, to incentivize people to upsell, because clearly not enough people are getting the memo. In fact, less than half. Churn risk is a whole nother story. So customers are basically coming and being like, I'm gonna leave this, provider, like telecom provider, I'm gonna go to a competitor. And what we're seeing here is less and less over time are agents actually trying to stop churn from happening from the insight that she extracted from these call transcripts. And so the issue here that they really need to do is go back and understand what's missing in the training again, and do we need to start incentivizing people that, hey, if we detect that you stopped a customer from churning, we'll give you X bonus, for example, to make sure that that 7% churn they were seeing over the year, which was awfully high, goes down because of active agent efforts on call. Awesome, cool. So another key thing here is that I showed you a cheaper agent, but how much cheaper can we really get you? On Sally's task, an optimized agent brick today is 50 times cheaper than using a flagship proprietary model from a leading provider. Because what we're doing here is we're taking your insights, your data, and your guidelines, and we're able to effectively tune a much smaller model to do the same task for a lot cheaper. You don't necessarily need that super heavyweight generalized LLM to work on your enterprise data, and that's what we're proving today by taking away that cost and quality trade-off that you have to think about.
Cool, thanks Archika, that was incredible. So let's get back to our previous example, and how did Agent Bricks help Sally be successful? First, previously, Sally had a really hard time creating an ideal agent that has a working prompt. Simply, there were too many prompts and too many models. For For example, prompting techniques like chain of thought reasoning may be efficient in very complex tasks, but it may be an overkill for very simple classification tasks. Things like this, Sally should be aware of, and she should understand all the intricacies of this. Also, as Sally updates the prompt using a few examples, those might not be generalizable for other parts of the data. All of this resolved using Databricks, because Databricks, we use all the data as well as your high-level task description to infer and give intelligent recommendations of the guidelines that your agent should follow. Also, every step of the way, you have evaluation supported in-house. So previously, Sally had a really hard time systematically evaluating her agent. As a matter of fact, every prompt optimization may have led to a regression on other parts of the data undetected. This is also resolved with Databricks, because with Databricks, every prompt optimization or every agent update, you have an evaluation report using our in-house custom LLM judges, so that you have the ability to track your agent's performance over time. Lastly, in most cases, the agents that Sally created were often too slow and too costly. As Sally processes millions of her data points, now the LLM costs would pile up, and in some cases, just to process that data would take weeks. This is also resolved with Databricks. You can optimize your model and then use with AI query at high scale in a cost-efficient manner. But this is all great, but if my data is in PDF or image format, does it work?
Oh no, that's a great question, June. Let's see. Okay, so if I go back to my workspace and I'm trying to do information extraction again, let's see if I can do this, and if I want to point it to, let's see, some PDFs that I'm going to find here. Default, and then where do they live? Probably in a volume somewhere here. Ah, here they are. Oh, here's a bunch of PDFs. Interesting. So if I actually want to convert these PDFs into something readable by our agent Brick, I can do this super easily. I just need to click here to automatically kick off a job that uses another SQL function that we have here at Databricks called AI parse document that will parse your PDFs into a delta table of that text for your agent to easily reason over. So here, all I have to do is to use my PDFs in Databricks. I just need to select the folder with the PDFs in it, select a destination table, so I'm going to put it in my own schema, and then I'm going to call this demo PDFs. Cool. And then I'm going to kick off this job and start importing my PDFs into a delta table, and then I can hook that delta table into my information extraction agent. So now I can see that this has started running, and it'll take a little bit of time, but I've done this in the past, and it's been successful and ready to use in your agent Brick. So we're integrating both upstream and downstream with AI parse to get your PDFs into parsed text, and then AI query to run that super effectively on high volumes. So the answer to your question, June, is yes, indeed. You can use this on PDFs today.
That's great. So as you have seen from the demo, it's easy as ever to create and productionize your AI agents with Databricks. You know, our research organization has worked really hard to get rid of the elephant in the room for you. So first, with Databricks, you don't need to think about all these integration tools, all these prompting techniques, and all the models. We support all of that out of the box. All you need to do is provide us with a high-level description that you want to achieve, and we'll handle the nitty-gritty details. And each step of the way of agent optimization, we will have an automated evaluation for you so that you can have a quantitative view of how your agent is performing. Underneath the hood, we use the Databricks Mosaic AI Agent Eval platform, which has custom LLM judges for you to evaluate your agent's quality. And now, third, we finally have a path forward of using your agents from creation to productionization. So using Databricks, you can create an optimized agent that is very cost efficient and use AI query with your agent in very high volumes as well. So why Databricks? How is it different from any other agent creation tools out there? First, for Databricks, we abstract away all the knobs and we create the most high quality optimized agent on behalf of you. Under the hood, our platform is model agnostic, our platform is technique agnostic. We try out multiple different models, we try out multiple different prompting techniques, and then we use the guidelines that you have provided to steer the agent to higher quality. And at every step of the way, there is custom LLM judges to give you quality score that you can proceed with confidence. Second, Agentbricks is a product interface for our state-of-the-art research organization. By using Agentbricks, you get to use all the state-of-the-art research that our in-house research team is developing. For example, we're using synthetic data generation, we're using model training with hyperparameter search, we're using reinforcement learning with human preference. Underneath the hood, we will try out all these different techniques, and we'll only provide the techniques that works best for your task, and we'll select the best agent that works best for your tasks. Lastly, it is super easy to use your agent end-to-end. Regardless of what your data format is, we support Delta tables, we support text files, we support PDFs, we support images, and support for other file formats such as DocX and Excel is on its way as well. You can easily integrate your tasks and your agents to these input formats. Also, using AI Query, you can use your agents in extremely high volume in a cost-efficient manner. If you have a use case where you need to use your agent in a streaming fashion, where you have an ongoing data inflow where you need to apply your agent, you can easily integrate with Lakeflow declarative pipelines to create an automatic pipeline to use your agent to extract a data or convert a data. Lastly, once you have a data that is extracted or converted using Agentbricks, you have plethora of apps such as Databricks, AI/BI, Genie to visualize those apps and make meaningful business decisions. So now we've taken a look at how we help you productionize agents using Agentbricks. Let's do a small deep dive on how we hill climb on quality. One of the core components that our research organization worked really hard is on agent learning and agent steerability. So how do we do this? First, in order to optimize quality, we iterate on user feedback. And for this user feedback takes in a form of natural language guidelines. So everything starts with you providing us with a high-level description of your task that you want to achieve. Given this, we automatically create a prompt that works best for you. We analyze your high-level task description as well as your data, create an optimized prompt for you. And note that at every step of the way, you will have agent evaluation to evaluate your agent's performance so that you can give guidance and you can have a quantitative evaluation of your agent as well. If the very first agent that we have created for you has missing gaps, you can iteratively update your agent by using our recommendation system. For example, in our custom LLM agent, which is specialized to create an agent that follows enterprise-specific guidelines, we have a recommendation system where we recommend guidelines that your agent should follow. You can accept or reject those guidelines, or you can even give custom user feedback on a subset of agent responses. On an information extraction agent, which is specialized to create a JSON from unstructured data, we also give recommendations on descriptions for each of the keys of the JSON that you want to create. So now that we have all these guidelines are now fed back into the prompt optimization loop to create a more ideal, higher quality agent. And these guidelines are also used in components of model optimization and model training as well. For example, we use these guidelines to create custom LLM judges. So these judges are using your guidelines, they understand your domain-specific knowledge, and therefore we can evaluate your agent in a more high quality and more thorough fashion. Also, these guidelines are used in reinforcement learning with human preference training process so that we can optimize on your quality even further. Now we've talked about how we hill climb on quality, let's talk about cost. Agentbricks was built so that we can help you productionize your agent. In this, creating a cost-efficient agent is super, super significant. Therefore, during this process, during the training and optimization process, we leverage this technique called model distillation, where we train a more smaller, cost-efficient model from a bigger, more intelligent model, such that we have a more cost-efficient model that actually understands your guidelines, that understands your enterprise data. So now, this is also shown in the Pareto curve here. This is a Pareto curve that shows a balance between model as well as model cost. On the left bottom side, you'll see Llama 3 8B model, which is super efficient, but not as high quality as the other models. On the top right corner, you'll see the current state-of-the-art model, which is really, really high quality, but due to its sheer size, not as cost efficient. With Agentbricks, you actually get the best of both worlds. You get an agent that is cost efficient, that is trained on your data, that is trained on your enterprise guidelines, and because of its specialized nature, because of its model distillation technique that we apply, actually, Agentbricks has similar performance of that of the state-of-the-art model with only 1/50th of the cost. Also, Agentbricks has similar cost of that of Llama 8B, but it will have over 20% significant boost in the quality as well. So now we talked about how Agentbricks is able to give you a cost-efficient, high-quality model. Let's talk about how our customers are using it.
Awesome. So as you probably saw in our keynote today, we've been working really closely with customers to basically test out these research techniques and how we're optimizing their agents to see if it actually gets them the value that they need. We have Flow Health, for example, here, who's using Agentbricks and the techniques that power it to deliver higher quality results at a significantly lower cost. And what they really care about doing is adhering to medical and safety guidelines. So they use custom LLM to basically train this agent to adhere to those guidelines and ensure that their chat model only gives medically safe and accurate results at an even lower cost at the volume they're operating on, because they have hundreds of millions of users across the world that could be talking to this chat model every single day. In addition, we've been working with AstraZeneca, and they found Agentbricks super valuable to parse through over almost 500,000 clinical trial documents and extract structured data points from it. Previously, they had complex, unstructured data. They weren't really sure how to actually get real insights from it, and now they have something that's actually usable for downstream analytics, which is exactly the same thing that we saw Sally do. She turned a mountain of 100 million customer call transcripts into aggregated insights that she could go to her leadership team and tell a story with. So the TLDR here is that you should all try Agentbricks today. We're in beta, and it may be available in your workspace already under the Agents tab in our left side nav bar. Or if it isn't, ask your workspace admin and see if they can turn on the toggle in the previews portal. Our regional availability as of today is listed, as you can see on the slide, but we're going to be coming to more regions very soon. And if there are any key takeaways that you should have from this session and from your understanding of specializing agents at scale for production, it's these three. First is that Agentbricks abstract the knobs away from you that you shouldn't have to worry about. Oftentimes they're a distraction and they're not actually effectively getting you to higher quality. We understand your task, we work off of your enterprise data, and we use data intelligence to get you to the quality that you need without having to worry about all of these underlying components. Second, using our research techniques via agent learning, we will eliminate the quality versus cost trade-off for you. You no longer have to go to production thinking that there's a trade-off between using a better model for a higher price. We're going to get you that really good model, and we're going to get it to you for a much lower price and one that you can actually productionize at scale. And lastly, you have to see it to believe it. So we're going to generate for you throughout the process, whether it's updating your agent or optimizing your agent, custom evaluations to drive the confidence to actually bring this into production and systematically know that you can do this today. With that said, thank you guys so much for coming to our session, and we'll be around to take questions.
Thank you.